9 Lives of Fear, where every story is a warning. And not everyone makes it out the same. Today's tale is one truckers whisper about and locals refuse to explain. A place that isn't on maps, shouldn't exist anymore, and yet still lights up the road when you're at your most desperate. They say if you see the sign, J&M Fuels, open 24 hours, you should keep driving. Because this gas station doesn't just take your money. It takes something else. Turn down the lights. Put on your headphones. And remember, on 9 Lives of Fear, stopping is always a choice, until it isn't. They said I shouldn't stop. I'd heard the warning since I was old enough to drive. Whispers passed between truckers at roadside diners, scribbled in marker on bathroom stalls from Missouri to Maine. Don't stop at Highway 17's last exit before the county line. Don't let your tank go below a quarter. And whatever you do, if you see the flickering neon sign that reads, J&M Fuels, keep going. But I did stop. It was raining, hard, the kind of downpour that turns asphalt into a mirror and makes headlights bleed across the road like ghosts. My GPS had died 20 miles back, and my phone battery was clinging to life. Empty. The gas gauge hovered just above E. I was alone on a forgotten stretch of US Route 17, where trees leaned over the road like old men hunched in prayer, and the radio spat nothing but static between stations. Then, through the rain-streaked windshield, I saw it. A gas station. Not just any station, this one looked like it had been abandoned for decades. A single rusted pump stood crooked in front of a squat brick building, its roof sagging under the weight of time and moss. Fluorescent lights buzzed behind grimy windows. One of the overhead signs still worked, flickering weakly in the storm. J&M Fuels, open 24 hours. The 24 hours pulsed in and out like a dying heartbeat. I pulled in slowly, tires crunching over gravel mixed with broken glass. The moment I turned off the engine, the rain seemed to grow louder, pounding on the roof like fingers tapping. I reached for my phone. No signal. Of course. I stepped out. The air was thick with the smell of wet asphalt, and something else. Gasoline, and something older. Damp wood. Forgotten meat. The wind howled in the eaves, and the sign creaked on its hinges. I walked toward the entrance. The automatic door slid open with a groan, as if it hadn't moved in years. Inside, the air was warm, too warm. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly yellow glow. A counter stood at the back, behind a glass case filled with dusty candy bars and empty drink racks. Behind it, a man leaned on his elbows, reading a newspaper. He didn't look up. Full tank, I said, my voice echoing slightly in the hollow space. And, the bathroom? Still, he didn't move. The newspaper crinkled as he turned a page. I stepped closer. Hello? Then he looked up. His eyes were pale, so pale they were almost white. His skin was sallow, stretched thin over sharp cheekbones. A smear of grease marked his forehead, like he'd wiped sweat away with a dirty rag. Bathroom's out of order, he said, his voice dry as paper. Pipes froze. Happens every winter. Even in June. I blinked. It was July. How much for the gas? I asked. $32.50. I handed him a 50. He didn't move to take it. Just stared at it with those empty eyes. Finally, he reached forward, plucked the bill from my fingers, and placed it in the register. The drawer opened with a metallic clunk, but there was no money inside. Just a single silver key, tarnished with age. No change, he said. Company policy. I nodded slowly, uneasy, and turned toward the pumps. As I walked, I glanced back at the newspaper he'd been reading. The Daily Herald, October 14, 1989. My blood turned cold. Outside, the rain hadn't let up. I leaned against my car, watching the fuel pump tick upward. 5, 10, 15. The numbers climbed, but the sound wasn't right. It wasn't my engine. Then I realized, I hadn't turned the car on. I looked toward the station. The lights were off now. The front door was closed. But through the glass, I could see him, still behind the counter, still reading the newspaper. Staring at me. I finished filling the tank and got back into the car. As I turned the key, the radio crackled to life. A woman's voice, trembling. It's not safe to stop there. That gas station, J&M Fuels, it burned down in 1989. Killed both owners. No one's worked there since. People say if you stop, you'll see them. And if you pay, they'll take more than your money. I slammed the radio off. Drove away without looking back. But in the rearview mirror, for just a second, I saw the sign flicker back on. Open 24 hours. And the man standing in the doorway. Waving. A week later, I found myself in the small town of Thornfield, population 1,400 and shrinking. I hadn't slept well since that night. I kept waking at 3:17 a.m., the exact moment the gas pump had clicked off. I dreamed of the station, of flickering lights, hollow eyes, and a newspaper dated before I was born. And worse, I'd woken up with something in my pocket. An old key. The same one I'd seen in the register. It was rusted, cold to the touch. Etched into the metal, barely visible. J&M, Locker 3. So I came to Thornfield. I started at the library, an old stone building that smelled of mildew and lemon oil. The librarian, a woman in her 70s with wire-rimmed glasses and a cardigan, looked up as I approached. "You're here about the gas station," she said. Not a question. "You know about it?" I asked. She closed her book. "Everyone here does. They just don't talk about it. Not to outsiders." "I stopped there last week," I said. "It was open." She didn't look surprised. "That's how it begins," she said quietly. "People stop. They think they need gas. Or a bathroom. Or shelter from the rain. By the time they realize something's wrong, it's too late." "Too late for what?" She leaned forward. "Have you checked the trunk of your car?" I hadn't. At the motel parking lot, I popped the trunk. There, tucked behind the spare tire, was a gas receipt. J&M Fuels. Date, October 14, 89. Amount, $32.50. Paid, $50. Change, $0. And at the bottom, handwritten. "Thanks for stopping by, Amber. See you next time." My name is not Amber. But the handwriting. It was mine. The librarian sent me to Emmett Riley, a retired trucker who lived on the edge of town. His trailer was surrounded by rusted cars and broken lawn chairs. He answered the door holding a shotgun and a whiskey bottle. "Didn't expect to see you so soon," he muttered. "You know me?" "Not you. Others like you." Inside, the walls were covered with maps, clippings, and photos of the station, some decades old, some disturbingly recent. "That's Jacob Mullins and Martin Jones," Emmett said, pointing to a photo. "Opened J&M in '52. Best friends." People started disappearing in the late '80s. Truckers. Drifters. Hikers. Then came the fire. October 14, 1989. The station burned to the ground. Bodies never recovered. No one ever called the fire department. The dispatcher reported a distorted voice saying only, "They're still inside." They'll never leave. I found the locker. The key fit. Inside was a journal, Jacob's. The final entry was written in my handwriting. You stopped. You paid. You're marked. Behind me, the wind rose. And through the trees, the station appeared, whole again. Lit. Waiting. Two men stood behind the counter. Jacob raised his hand. Not a wave. An invitation. It's raining again. I'm driving. My GPS is dead. My phone has no signal. The gas gauge reads E. And ahead of me. The sign. The pump. The door opening before I even stop. I tell myself to keep going. But the engine dies. Inside, a man stands behind the counter. He looks like me. Older. Tired. He holds out his hand. I reach into my pocket. And give him my key. Because places like J&M Fuels aren't just about ghosts or curses, they're about moments when we're tired, lost, and willing to stop anywhere that promises relief. A little light in the dark. A little help when we need it most. Maybe that's why the station keeps coming back. Not for the reckless, but for the desperate. For the ones running on empty, convinced they don't have another mile left in them. So if you're ever driving late at night, if the rain is heavy, if the road feels endless and your fuel gauge is hovering just above E, and you see a flickering sign offering exactly what you need, ask yourself what it might be asking for in return. Because on 9 Lives of Fear, the scariest places aren't the ones that chase you. They're the ones that wait. Until next time, stay safe, and keep driving. Hey, horror fans. If you enjoyed our chilling tale and want to keep the spine-tingling stories coming, don't forget to hit that like button. Your support keeps the darkness alive. Share this video with your friends, let's spread the fear together. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, so you never miss a hair-raising moment. Join our community of thrill seekers and prepare for more eerie adventures. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay scared.